Hello, I'm Grandma Mary, and today I will walk you through the process of making hot garlic dills. The first thing you want to remember is if you don't have a place to store them in a cool, dry area for approximately 3 months, you can probably stop watching now because odds are they won't turn out. Unless you want to cut the brine and just make a couple jars, store them in your refrigerator, that will work as well. Approximately 9 pounds of cucumbers. Today I think I have about 14 pounds. You will need a couple bunches of dill. I usually put a couple sprigs, about, well, half that in one jar, or you can take a couple of the little pieces and have a couple pieces of that. You will need approximately 3 plants of garlic. I will show you how to clean that. You will need either fresh or dried peppers. I forgot to take those out. I like to use the dried peppers. You can also use jalapenos, whatever your taste. Also, you need vinegar. The brand is up to you. Nobody endorses me, so I will not show you the brands I use. Make sure that it's 5% acidity. That's the only thing you have to worry about, which it would be your dark vinegar. You don't want to use white vinegar. You also need canning salt, non-iodized, and approximately 14 quart jars. Today I have a little more than 9 pounds, so I put a few extra jars. It doesn't matter how many you have, you just have to make sure that you make enough brine. The brine consists of, well, okay, I will tell you about the brine and then we'll go back. The brine consists of 24 cups of water, 8 cups of 5% dark vinegar, 2 cups of canning salt. This is for 2 batches, approximately 7 jars per batch, so you can cut that however you need to adjust it. First thing you want to do is wash your dill. I don't actually wash it, I put it in the sink, kind of give it a spray and a shake. Make sure that sometimes you get little dill bugs in there. You want to make sure that you get those little dill bugs out. If a few end up in one of your jars, just a little extra protein, nothing to worry about. So just kind of shake that up. You're going to make a mess. Let that sit over there for a while. To clean the garlic, just kind of rinse it off. Cut off all this hairy stuff at the bottom. This part off, that'll go in the garbage. Then you want to divide each of the little pieces and take the skin off. Usually I cut it down and use probably that much in each jar. That's according to your taste. If you like more garlic, add what you want. When you're finished cleaning the garlic, then you need to clean your cucumbers. Just dump them in the sink and start washing. Obviously you don't want to stand here for a half hour watching me wash cucumbers. I just put them on a nice dry towel over here. Try to keep them sorted a little bit by size for when you're stuffing your jars. But as I said, I don't know a half hour's worth of jokes, so I'm going to have my husband shut off the video now, and I will continue to wash the cukes, and we will be back in a little bit. Welcome back. Our cucumbers are all washed. Now what we need to do is, in all my jars that have been pre-washed, especially with brand new jars, you do want to pre-wash them. You want approximately that much dill. Just kind of fold it over. I usually put a little piece of the pretty green in there. Then I'm not going to pack all my jars right now, I'll do that later. Then you want your garlic. I usually put that plus another little piece. I've got it cut into little pieces. So maybe 2 in each. My son and some of my grandchildren don't like hot garlic dills. They like just the plain dills. So today I plan to make 7 jars of just plain. You would still use the garlic and the dill, just not the hot pepper. I have these nice banana peppers that my niece brought me. So I am going to make these hot. And these are hot yellow banana peppers. You can buy the mild banana peppers. It's kind of like putting a puzzle together. When you're working with hot peppers, you always want to remember not only for cleanliness, but because if you touch your face or your eyes, you're going to be sorry. That will burn for a long time. I've even gone like that after I've handled them, and it isn't fun. As you can see, I have a lot of different varieties of cucumbers. There are so many. We used to use strictly straight 8s. We've found that Cool Breeze, these are salt and pepper cukes. I like at least 1 in a jar to make them look pretty. You want to start packing your jar just like a little puzzle. You use some big ones, some little ones. That depends on what you like also. You can give it a little pressure, but you don't want to break the cukes, obviously. Just lay them in there, fit them in. The first few jars go perfect because you have so many different sizes. When you get to the end, you'll notice, unless you've got a garden of your own. If you have a garden of your own and can go out and get little fillers, that's great. Otherwise, you want to make sure that you have enough little fillers for each jar. Here we are again. All our jars are packed. I did want to mention, when you pack your jars, make sure not to bring them up too far. You want to leave them down below this line so that when you put your brine in, you can leave 1/4 inch in the jar. You don't want to come right up to the top of the jar. I did get my brine started. I wanted to get it boiling because that usually takes at least 20 minutes. I use this big, nice measuring cup rather than this little one, and I always start with my water because at my age sometimes I forget, and as I'm counting 1, 2, 3, how many did I have in there? If you do have to pour it back out, you don't waste your vinegar or your salt. I made a double batch, which is 24 cups of water, 8 cups of 5% vinegar, and 2 cups of canning salt. You start your brine, you also want to boil your lids. You don't need to boil the rings, just make sure they're clean. I have 13 lids because I ended up with 13 jars. Don't worry if you don't end up with 14 exactly. If you have extra brine at the end, and that's the only reason you try to gauge that, is because you need enough brine to cover all your jars. I have this jar that I've had for years that I save extra brine in. Once it cools, I put it in the refrigerator, and you can add it the next time you make a batch, or you can just make 2 jars if that's what you want to do. We bring this to a boil, which it is now, a hard boil for 5 minutes. Once that's ready to go, I have this type of measuring cup that I can dip into the brine with. If you use one that's smaller, you can just make sure to cover your hand because that steam will burn. Also, with your lids, for safety, please turn your handles to the back. You don't want to burn yourself on that either. Now, I have tongs and a butter knife for when I'm taking these out of the hot water. I used to just use the tongs and I'd be chasing the lids around. Your knife is just like an extra finger in the hot water. You can grab the lid and place it on the jar. With that, I did leave my wooden spoon here to remind you as you start your brine, give it a little mix. You want to get that salt all mixed in good. Our water is boiling. Our brine is boiling. And we are ready to fill the jars. My husband usually does the tightening down, but because today he's doing the video, I will tighten a couple of these jars on my own. You do one at a time. Put the brine in not too fast because, as you know, cold and then hot will crack the jar. So do it real slow. You have about 1/4 of an inch. One lid. Sometimes they come together. You have to make sure you've only got one. Don't touch the back side. Place it on your jar. Get the ring to go on. Tighten it down. You might want to use a towel because the jar is hot. Move it over. Bring the next one forward. Repeat the process. Welcome back. We have been filling these jars and they've been pinging away. I wanted to make sure that you hear at least one seal. Okay, there we go. There. Did you hear that? That's what you're going to listen for. Sometimes they ping and seal almost immediately. Other times it takes almost a half hour. Don't monkey with the tops of the lids until you know they're all sealed. I can see from here that these have sealed. When you tap on the top of one that's sealed, it rings. If you tapped on one that wasn't sealed, you hear a clunk. You'll know the difference, and you can also see it pulls down the middle of the jar where that little knob is. With that, I just want to say, if they don't seal, you have 3 choices. You can either put them in a canner in a water bath for 5 minutes, which I don't usually like to do because then you risk having a soggy pickle. You could return the brine to the kettle, reboil it, boil a fresh lid, and repeat the process, or you could store them in the refrigerator. With that, I just want to tell you, you can't buy a good pickle. I would like to thank my husband for videotaping. I would like to thank my grandson Blake, who will do the editing on this and post it on YouTube. Good luck and happy canning. Now they are all cool, they all sealed. You want to take a nice clean cloth and go around the jars, wipe off the salt because it will drip as you're filling. Get them all nice and clean. Wait till they dry off a little bit. And then make your own labels. Use duct tape. I don't care what you use, but then you can label them. And store them in the basement or wherever you're going to store them for at least 3 months. They're better even longer. 4 to 6 months. They're great. And then following year or whenever you're ready, you will have jars of nice crisp pickles. Enjoy.